First and foremost, how are you feeling and what does this mean to you?
Well, I'm feeling very proud personally, and of course, very proud for the nation. The elections are done and dusted. We are moving forward.
As a party, you've been speaking on behalf of the party. You are a young man that is coming to parliament. We've always seen in the past old people. What does this say about this new parliament?
Well, I've seen a lot of young people coming through the ranks of the party, and the majority of them are now in parliament. I'm one of them as well. You know, it says a lot, not about ourselves as young people, but about the senior leadership of the party, particularly the president himself. Remember, in 2018, exactly after his inauguration, in 2018, the president said no. He was going to ensure that the party also carries the young people on board to ensure that we have what we call generational blending in all structures of government. And being here today is a testament of exactly what the president promised and what he said. And here we are today. It's very refreshing. We hope that we are going to discharge ourselves very well in Parliament now that we are now part of the national leadership from a legislative perspective. I'm sure we are going to rise, all of us above, party, petty differences, as it were, to put the nation and our people forward. I just hope we are going to do that.
What would you aspire to see changed or brought into this new parliament?
Well, this is my first time to be here, so honestly, I'm not the right person to speak about change in parliament or what may necessarily need to be altered, because this is my first time, so I don't know exactly what was in there. So today was exactly my maiden day into parliament. So I haven't really seen a lot, but except that, as an outsider previously, one thing that of course I disdained and was embarrassing to watch was, unnecessary howling, haranguing, and all forms of sheepish behavior, particularly as displayed then by the opposition. I'm sure it was not a good sight, and I hope that our colleagues from the opposition will change that behavior now that they've also changed. I think they are capable of changing. That is why they talk so much about change. They said initially they were not going to come for the inauguration, that they were going to forgo parliament and then demand a fresh election roundly. But today they are here. I'm sure they changed it overnight. I expect them to change overnight. And as far as that behavior is concerned, that is the behavior of howling, haranguing. I don't think that those who voted for us would expect us to discharge our duties in an august house like this in that manner. So I just hope they are going to change.
Do you reckon that in this new parliament and the new government that is coming, do you reckon that the opposition will be actively involved in terms of beyond participating in parliament? Do you expect?
I think the president is a very inclusive man, a very listening man. So everything about what will happen, I'm sure, depends on the president, and most importantly, also on the behavior of the opposition itself. Remember, they actually say it's one thing to take a donkey to the river, it's another thing to force it to drink water. You can't do that. So I'm sure everything else lies within the province of the responsibilities of the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Comrade Idi Mnangagwa, and his discretions as empowered by the Constitution. So, of course, I can't really speak his mind on that issue.
Well, focusing particularly on the youth.
I hope that we are not going to have a variety of talk shows inside there. That is why earlier on I spoke about constructive debate, constructive engagement between and among political parties represented in parliament, with a desire to see things happening, to transform things, not just to come here, start haranguing, talking too much.
But specifically,
so
the
essential.
Youth that you speak for, irrespective of what party party of affiliation, what is it that you think this parliament will deliver to the youth out there?
Well, parliament doesn't essentially deliver, but essentially deliver the tangibles on the youth. It is incumbent on a legislator as an individual Remember, this Augusta House is a legislative.
You are
Augusta, listen.
You are the legislator.
Listen.
What is it that you are going to do for the youth?
Very good. That's what I wanted. That's where I wanted to bring you to, because this is a legislative house. It does not essentially deliver on the ground, essentially, but it focuses on providing legislative framework and passing legislation that enables us to deliver. So I'm just hoping that we are going to be, all of us, effective to deliver on the constituencies, where there are a lot of young people, the majority of whom have lost opportunities. You know, we must tap on to the government programs existing and currently ongoing. For example, in the area of agriculture, I will tell you that in Buhera West, we have said we are going to prioritize nutrition gardens through an accelerated program of borehole drilling as supported by the presidential borehole drilling scheme. We have started doing that in villages to ensure that every village has that facility. If we capacitate every village with water for drip irrigation, I cannot tell you that what we see youth doing from Murewa, bringing goods and commodities to Mbare, we can do that from Buhera West as well. There's nothing that can stop us from doing
What
that.
are your timelines?
As you're aware, as the CCC, we have noted various concerns with primarily with regards the way the elections were conducted, being the process. We are not happy with the outcome, but however, what we have said is we allow the will of the people that voted CCC members to pass. And as a party, we have said, whatever the circumstances, we are going to defend the zones of our autonomy.
Okay, we've seen women, or the participation of women vote out. As the opposition, did you manage to bring in enough numbers of women?
As women, it's not just a problem with regards to the CCC, but generally we have a problem in terms of women participation. However, as a party, we managed to field women in all provinces. The numbers were not so good, but what I can say is, for example, in terms of the outcome, women that eventually came out of the process, as the CCC, we have 10 women that were elected through first past the post, and that are here in Parliament. And as for proportional representation, we have women that are 20. So yeah, the numbers are still not good. We have a long way to go, and it's not just a problem amongst the opposition parties, but it's a cultural and a societal problem, which definitely needs to be addressed going forward.
As an incoming legislator, how do you think this challenge can be overcome? What needs to be done in future so that it is overcome?
I think the starting point is a reflection as to how we got here and where we are coming from. We need to self-introspect, not just us women, but also even our male counterparts. Remember, we are talking about issues around our cultural issues to do with patriarchy, also to do with attitude against women that are active in politics. So we really need a change of attitude, and that attitude does not start like when we are grown up, but even as parents, the way we groom our children, the way we nurture them, the way we present them to society. That should be our starting point. So really it takes a wholesome approach in terms of dealing with the issue of women participation in these spaces.
You've been vocal about electoral reforms and
Yes.
the same about the 10th parliament with better numbers than the 9th parliament. Is this something that you are going to finish in the 10th parliament?
Most definitely. Remember, the 9th Parliament failed to actually resolve the issue of electoral reforms. We have lots of documentation around electoral reforms, be it the electoral observer missions in 2018, and the same concerns that were raised then have been raised in the 2023 elections. And there's also, as the CCC, we offered our prepare document, which is our electoral reforms blueprint, and same applies to other organizations and other political parties out there. There's a lot of work that has been done with regards to electoral reforms, and most definitely that is one agenda of that we are going to push as a party, and we assure the citizens of Zimbabwe and everyone out there that will not leave that to the last minute.
Basa rangu inini kumiririra izwi revarombo semunhu murombo anobva kuconstituency yevanhu varombo in Epworth. Basa rangu kuti ndivamiririre izwi ravo rinzwike munyika yese, zvichemo zvavo zvinzwike uye zvizadzikiswe.
What's special about it?
Kwemakore akawanda constituency yangu yeEpworth tiri kurarama muurombo nemukutambudzika. Tiri part yeHarare province. Asi kuti ndikutaurirei chokwadi, muconstituency yangu yeEpworth tinoshandisa mablair toilet. Izvi hazvicharisirwi kunzi constituency yemucapital city inge ine zvinhu zvakadaro. Iconstituency isina even sewer, iconstituency isina zvikoro, iconstituency inotambudzika nenyaya dzezvipatara, iconstituency zvakare ine vanhu vakawanda vari kupondwa nenyaya yekuti tinofamba murima, iconstituency ine vanhu vakawanda vari kufa nekuwira mugodhi nemhosva yekuti hatina mvura yakachena inobuda papombi. Saka semumiriri wavo muparliament ndichatora zvichemo zvavo izvi ndichienda nazvo pazvinokodzera kuti zviendeswe kuti musha wedu usimukire ukodzerewo kuva musha unonzi uri muHarare. Ndinozviziva kuti budiriro yemusha uyu yakanyanya kutarisana neEpworth Local Board, ende inini saMP wavo harisi basa rangu rekuti ndiite zvimwe zvezvandataura izvi, asi ndichange ndichishanda zvakanyanya neEpworth Local Board kuti musha wedu uonekere, ufananewo kana kuti udarikewo dzimwe nzvimbo dziri muno muHarare.
It's a very delicate balance in terms of feelings. We're at a point where we understand how the election went. It was a sham of an election, and there were a lot of irregularities. The Election Management Board, ZEC, did not handle this election in a very credible manner. So we have a lot of questions, we have a lot of outstanding issues, particularly on the presidency and the presidential election. But being my first time in Parliament, I believe that the spaces that we already secured in Parliament, Sunningdale constituency, which is the constituency that I represent, being one of those spaces, we believe that we should secure those so that we defend the voice of the people, the voice of the voiceless. I feel that the 10th Parliament is going to be very challenging, particularly for the status quo. As I was scanning through the parliamentarians, I did see that CCC did bring in a lot of fresh minds, young people, young ideas, people who believe in democracy, and I'm one of those people who are going to push for the attainment of democracy, freedoms, including freedom of press, and generally all the things that we've lived under a very abusive state and regime. But I think that the Parliament will be a very good opportunity for us to challenge and push back on certain legislations that are curtailing the freedoms of people in Zimbabwe. I think part of what will be high on my agenda, legislative agenda, is the issue of women's empowerment, education, and of course how people can be included in the mainstream economy, because we've seen that with the gold mafia, with corruption and a lot of theft of state resources, the general public of Zimbabwe, particularly the urban poor, have experienced a lot of negative effects of urban poverty, depending urban poverty and the exclusion from the main economy. So part of what I want to push is to make sure that the ordinary person is included and benefits from the economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here today, and at the same time I'm also excited to be sworn into the 10th Parliament. But my word is, to Zimbabweans, I'm so happy that members of Zanu PF are here, members of CCC are here, which means we are so excited with the outcome of our elections. We are so happy with what happened on our elections. Coming here in all our numbers as members of the 210 constituencies is admitting that all the elections were done in a very, very smart and clear manner. So I want to say thank you very much. Congratulations to all the incoming members of parliament. We need to maintain peace as it was before, during, and after the elections. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Basically, I have two issues that are very pertinent. Firstly, as a young person myself, I carry a generational mandate in this 10th Parliament session to represent and advocate for the interests of young people in Zimbabwe. But more importantly, I also carry a village agenda. As a rural MP, it is my deep desire to represent and advocate for the interests of people in the village, in farming communities, young people, and the elderly as well that are wallowing in abject poverty.
We have seen that in terms of the opposition MPs, they are very few. How are you going to hold the Zanu case accountable to these actions in Parliament?
Our responsibility in Parliament basically extends beyond even our numbers. There are sessions that are in Parliament, there are ministers who come and give reports. There is even the budget by the finance minister, and even various initiatives in government policies which then Parliament has a responsibility to hold government to account. And it is our endeavor and indeed as our view to hold government to account, more particularly in terms of distribution of resources, in terms of the policies that they would have made an undertaking to fulfill to the electorate. So that does not necessarily speak to our numbers, but it's a question of being alert as well as interrogating the various policies that they put in place.
What are you going to do differently as compared to the first Parliament?
This is an interesting Parliament with more young people. Young people who are inquisitive, young people who are prepared to ask questions, young people who are prepared to hold the elderly to account and to hold them to account. So we do make an undertaking to be very clear in terms of articulation of policies that we want to be seen being debated in Parliament, issues that we want to have government deal with insofar as young people are concerned, marginalized people are concerned, and more from my perspective, people that are in rural areas are concerned.
Are you also looking to receive loans as parliamentarians to previous 40,000 last year?
That's not our agenda for now. Our agenda is to represent the interests of the people that sent us. We are clear on that. I might not speak about other issues relating to how other people might respond to certain issues, but our agenda really is to serve the interests of the people of Zimbabwe. Whatever benefit that might accrue to us, if that benefit is an effect to the ordinary citizen, if it is a benefit to the ordinary citizen, then definitely there will be that consideration.
Honorable, you've just been sworn in. First and foremost, how are you feeling?
No, I'm quite happy and I'm very excited. At the same time, I'm very honored that I was given a mandate by the people. And I believe that as MPs and legislators, we have got a representative role that we need to play. And we need to make sure that at least we represent the interests of the people. So I'm quite excited and also honored, and still I need to work hard so that the people will also be able to understand that at least they voted for the right person.
There's been a low number of women and young women in particular who have coming to this parliament. As a young woman, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, the problem that we have is we are not implementing the laws which are already there. We have got Section 17, Section 56, and also Section 8 of the Constitution, which are clear about gender parity and also gender equality. So what we need to do now is to make sure that we get an act, an enabling act, so that it can become enforceable. So that when we talk about gender parity, we are talking of gender equality. We're also talking of more women in Parliament. And this can only be done if we have an enabling act. And also we have to make sure that we get a fund. You see, politics is an area which is quite capital intensive. And what always happens is you realize that people need money for them to get really into politics. So we need to have a fund. We need to make sure that we get a legislation which is pro-women, which is going to also make sure that women will get a budget so that they get into politics. What is my top priority? As what? Yeah, what we need to do, especially for the youth, you know, I've been very passionate about youth issues. We need to make sure that we have the youth bill in place. we need to also make sure that we have a quota which is quite specific when it comes to economic issues concerning the youth. And I think this has been one thing that I think we need to focus on. And like what I said, we need a gender equality bill that also has to be put in place so that at least we can make sure that women will be more, will mainstream women into the economic dispensation of this country.
Yes, and fight for what was stolen from us.
And do you think you are going to make an impact given that Zanu has majority?
Yeah, it has good majority, but they do not have two-thirds majority in parliament. So definitely we are going to make an impact.
What is the next step for Honorable regarding the issue of the challenges to the law?
Yeah, I'm sure you're quite aware that all the observer missions, be it SADC, Commonwealth, EU, and AU, they were very clear that the elections did not go well in Zimbabwe. They stated quite a number of issues which are supposed to be corrected. So we'll continue to also lobby the international community until our matter is resolved. And also the political pressure, which I can't divulge at the moment. Yeah, we are also waiting to get the report from them. I'm sure you're quite aware that they went out of the country recently. So we are waiting to get the report from Jameson Timber and Clay Clutcher.
This day marks a very special and significant day here in Harare at the Parliament. My name is Honorable Sheila Chikomo. I am a Member of Parliament representing Mwenezi East. I'm very excited and very happy to witness the beautiful ceremony of swearing in of the Member of Parliament. More than anything, I am quite excited that this is the start of a journey, hands on the plow, enough play and more work. We are now working back, looking in the communities where we're coming from in rural areas to make sure that our people are represented fully. As a female MP, I'm very excited to know that the youth are going to be represented fully. The women are going to be represented fully. I've got a duty to make sure I deliver on the projects that emancipate women, that empowers women at large.
And it is well known, as our president always say, that that is what we want to engrave into everybody's minds, what we want to engrave into everybody's mindset, and to ensure that that is done by us, by you and me. When that tinavo mumoyo tinoda kushanda nawo moyo tine zvakawanda zvatinazvo zvatikavagadzirira, particularly the Holy Cross Dam is going to change the trajectory of the livelihoods of the people in Chirumanzu. As an MP, that's my focus, and we want to continue. They deserve to have clean water, they deserve to have good roads, they deserve everything that is good that anyone else in the world has. As such, as an MP, it is my objective and my aim to go through that, and also to continue with my president's trajectory of nyika inovakwa nevene vayo vese vari kwavari vanobva kwachirumanzo ngavauye tibatane tivake nyika yekwedu pamwe chete nekushandira nyika yedu yezimbabwe nekuti ndeyedu haisi vamwe vanhu ndeyedu masvita.